Alright, well, I just got through trying out Two Point Museum, and it was very disappointing for me. Unfortunately, I'm classifying this one as a did not finish, so this is not going to be a positive review for the game. And it was disappointing to come to this conclusion, and I'll talk a little bit about that in this video. And I'll also talk about what I like about the game, because there are some good aspects of the game as well. But I'm going to start out with the things that I didn't like. So, first of all, the small complaints that I have for this game. And these are minor, and these would have been forgivable for me, and I would have continued playing despite this, and I played many games with these kind of problems, and it's no problem. But there's no voice acting in the game. It feels like I just wanted there to be voice acting. There is a little bit of voice acting with on the speakers in the museum. The speaker person will shell out witty remarks, but for the characters themselves who talk to the player, there's no voice acting, and it feels like I just would like them to have voice acting for them in those little intros to the levels. I always like to hear people say the things that are the mission objectives. It'd be like, okay, well, we're getting started on your new museum. But there was no voice acting, which feels like, for this kind of game, it would have added a lot, and it wouldn't have been a big deal to add it. There would have been a pretty small ad. So that was a little disappointing. Also, a bigger complaint I had, but still manageable, this is just an annoyance, really, but the employees, when you hire them, this is a normal thing in sim games, but I felt like in this game, especially compared to other sim games that I played, the employees are just bad at their jobs. Like, they just frequently don't do them. Even, there's zoning in this game, which many other sim games that are similar have zoning. And even if you use the zoning systems to make sure that they stay in certain areas, make sure their jobs aren't too big, they just don't do their jobs well. And part of that might be the leveling system, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. But the leveling system, which contributes to the major problem of the game, may have been why the employees were so bad in the portion of the game that I played. But my major complaint is this game just had too much orientation towards the loot box system, where you just constantly are sending out your employees on missions. And this was a cool idea for the game, and I think executed better, it would have been fun. And in the beginning, it was pretty fun. But you send your employees out on expeditions to different places. You don't get to see those places that they go. They just have funny names and descriptions for you to click on. But they go to those places, and they will find new loot for you, new exhibits. And these exhibits can be then displayed in your museum. And that's kind of fun. Like, you have to send them out to different places to get dinosaur bones so you can display them in your museum, or etc. And at first, this is a pretty fun system. You'll have to do multiple trips to the same location in order to get all the items. That's fine. And there are a number of places. But, it does get a little repetitive sending your employees over and over again to these places, because it's a bit of a clunky system where you have to kind of decide which employees to send every single time. And you have to pick the employees with the correct weaknesses and skills so that they have the best chance of success, or they have any chance of success at all. So each time it's like a little puzzle that's not a very fun puzzle. It's just kind of a annoying little puzzle that you have to do each time, which is fine. But it gets very repetitive, and this is the main problem, because so each time you send them out, you're essentially getting a loot box. It doesn't cost any real money or anything at this point in the game, or in this point in the game's development history, but the loot boxes, they just come back with a random exhibit, and that's fine at first. Like, in the first couple of levels I was playing, it was no big deal. I would just send them out to the locations until the location had given up all of its exhibits that you could get from it, and then I would go to the next one. And this would be kind of a behind the scenes background kind of activity while you're building up your museum and managing it and doing the things that you actually want to do in this game, which is managing the museum and decorating it and building it and finding ways to improve your guests' experience in the museum. And these are the things that I think people generally want in a management sim, is actual management of the thing. But it becomes really annoying because in the later levels for these loot boxes, they make you go over and over again for the same items. So now we're going through this annoying puzzle again and again, but it's not for new exhibits anymore. It's just for the same exhibits. And this happens on part 3, basically, where I did the prehistory museum already, then I did the supernatural museum. Then the game tells you to go back to the prehistory museum and can kind of combine them or something. Not really, but basically we're on level 2 now of the prehistory museum, and this is when the game starts saying, okay, now send them back to the same place again, and do it again, and do it again until you get a certain amount of experience for that area, because each area you have a certain amount of experience in that specific area, and get the right level of rarity of exhibit. So now we're not dealing with just different exhibits, but each specific exhibit you can get from an area has a rarity meter, a rarity feature, where it's like regular, epic, and it's this waiting to get the epic items, which is annoying. And this is not a background thing. It's required as one of the objectives to progress in the game. So I'm just sitting here trying to manage this museum that I've already been in for a while, and I've already gotten all the exhibits that I can possibly get from the other areas. And I'm just sending out these teams to the same area and over again. And this is when it gets really annoying because it starts to feel like not a fun game. It starts to feel like one of those really bad free mobile games that just exists on the internet for free, that you can click on, and that basically exists just to steal your attention away. And they just work really hard and are designed perfectly to be addictive and force you to click over and over again on the same things just to get minute, tiny increases in experience. And it's this like addictive twitch clicking gameplay mechanic, which I think just ruins this game. And I began to feel like this when I was spending several hours trying to get this epic exhibit, and I realized that this game is just being one of those bad mobile games. And it's like, this is not a good game. This is like, you paid money for this game. It should have a pretty continuous progression. It shouldn't be making me do this over and over again. It gets very annoying. So, unfortunately, I feel like this game went too low with its mechanic of these uncovering these loot boxes on these expeditions, and I can't give this game. I can't play this game anymore because it's too annoying, and I can't give this game a good rating. I'm not even going to rate it here in this video. But basically, this game is ruined by the loot boxes and by the addictive style game design, which is not fun, but is designed just to suck away your attention and time. So it's very annoying. But there were things that I really liked about the game. Might as well talk about them here since I did play it for a little bit. I only played 2 of the 6 themes. One of the themes is not part of that, but so the themes are prehistory, which is the dinosaur bones, supernatural, which is like ghosts, aquatic. Botany is a theme, but it's not really. There's not a dedicated botany museum, apparently. It's just in all the museums, but it is a different theme that you can get. And then there's science and space. So I only played prehistory and supernatural. And I could have played aquatic, but I didn't get to it in my playthrough because I went back to prehistory. And the themes are really fun. And actually, this game would be a really great sim game if it weren't for this annoying loot box system. Like, what I played of it, it was really fun, really tight museum building sim. lots of fun features, and even though the employees are kind of incompetent, it's still kind of fun. But then when you're waiting for the loot boxes, unfortunately, the incompetent employees get more and more annoying because you're just kind of waiting and you're just putting out fires now because the employees don't do it on their own, and it becomes really micromanagey. And then also when you add the botany, it's kind of annoying too because botany requires constant maintenance. They have to be watered frequently, and they have to be held at a certain temperature. And then those things go on fire, and then the employees never go fix the fires themselves automatically, even though they're set to. And it becomes too micromanagey, too focused on trying to get them at the right levels, where the game just kind of stops being fun, and you're just kind of waiting for the right level of rarity from the loot boxes, and the loot boxes aren't fun, and it just gets, it's like, I just hate my life now. And that's why I had to stop playing this game, unfortunately. But in this game, there is a really good sim game. It's just they didn't quite do it right. And it's really disappointing because I would have really liked to see how those other exhibits went. Like the Supernatural Museum was really fun. It turns out it was actually not just like spooky themed museum, but it's actually more like you're running a bed and breakfast for the ghosts there while you also have a museum guests coming, and that was really fun and original, I thought. So there are some definitely fun and original things, and I didn't get to all of them, but I didn't want to keep basically indulging this addictive design of just waiting for hours for the right rarity level of loot. I just don't think that's very fun to do, unfortunately. But there is stuff that's good about this game. I just wish they didn't have the loot box system. I think it ruined it. I've made that, I think, pretty clear at this point. And so this was a very disappointing game for me, because it was actually really fun, except for the over-reliance on this loot box waiting rarity system, which just basically ground the progression of the game to a halt, so that nothing was happening, and I was just putting out fires, and employees were dying on the expeditions, so I had to keep rehiring, and it was just clicking, doing the same things over and over again, trying to get to this, like, churn out the right level of item, and it was too annoying, and it was taking too long, and it's like, this game is not progressing fast enough to justify its existence, basically. It's just stifling. And, so unfortunately, I guess my final conclusion for this game is that it's too addict-oriented. It's too reliant on people's just addiction to uncovering more rare levels of loot. It's more like those annoying, addictive, clicking mobile games or computer games which are on the internet and free, and they just want you to keep clicking and clicking and clicking. And opening these loot boxes, I really wish it just had been a normal sim game. So I'm not even going to rate it here. My rating is I abandoned the game, I did not finish, and I definitely do not recommend. If you want to look at my specific rating, I do have a star rating on my GG app, so you can check that out. I'll leave the account description in the video description, so you can check that out. But this game was a big disappointment for me. I thought it was really fun. It reminded me a lot of games I like Sim Theme Park and Planet Coaster. It has that feel. It just didn't execute it in the right way, and that was really sad for me. But I guess that's how it goes, they were trying something different. I've never played these 2-point games before. There are other ones at Hospital. But I don't know if those ones also rely on this kind of loot box system. But I'm probably not going to be trying a 2-point game in the future, unless I'm sure that they got rid of this kind of loot box system, because I just don't trust their design anymore. I was really disappointed that they designed the game this way. It felt like a really big cop-out. It felt like they totally took advantage of, my gamer instincts and made a game that takes too much from this kind of predatory, free-to-play, addict-oriented gameplay that is just so so not a great way to spend your time, in my opinion. And it was so disappointing because, this was not a free game. It costed money. And I got the special edition so I could have the special assets for the game so I could, further decorate my museum with the adventure theme. And because I was really optimistic about it, and it was just turned out to be a bigger disappointment than I ever imagined. But that was my thoughts about the 2 Point Museum. I don't know. Did you play the game? Let me know. Did you like it? Did you get through that kind of stuff? I could just not get through it.